As Dr. John Demartini says, everyone, no matter what gender, race, sex, you name it, everyone has a set of unique values, a hierarchy of values that are unique to them. Values are things that you prioritize in life, that you enjoy doing, that bring you alive. They're the things that you spend money on, you spend your energy on, you spend your time on, you think about the most. When you do them, they're energizing and inspiring. You tend to socialize or talk about them, or when that conversation comes up, you light up. You become extroverted in your highest values. Opposite to when people usually are introverted when something isn't on their list of values. They don't find as much interest in them. So everyone has these values, and your voids are the things in your life. Before I say that, they're the foundation of why you have values in the first place. They're the specific foundations for why you have the specific values you have. And so a void is something in your life that you perceive as missing. Something in your life that you perceive as lacking, of you not having. A void is very commonly the result of some fundamental judgment that we have of ourselves. And that judgment is usually the case when we look at a trait that someone else has. We look at a characteristic, an action, something that someone else has that we maximize. In other words, we look at them and we believe we don't have that trait. So we maximize them, we put them on a pedestal, and we lower ourselves compared to them. We believe that the trait that they have, we don't have. And so there's a void of something missing, something that we want and something that we lack. Also, so that's one half of a void. The one half is you maximizing a trait in someone and believing you lack that same trait. The other half of that void is maximizing yourself, putting yourself on a pedestal and minimizing someone else. So you see a trait in someone else and you despise it, you resent it, you get irritated by it. You are therefore minimizing that trait in someone and maximizing the opposite quality in you. And so we form a void. And so we go from infatuation with a trait or someone to resentment of a trait or someone. Now, this void, this something that we're lacking or seemingly missing or haven't found evidence or seen that same trait in ourselves, becomes a void. And what do we do when we have a void in our lives? What we do is we form a value to then be able to fill that void. And so a void is something empty. And whenever something is empty, we seek to fill it. So we create a value that will help us fulfill that void. In other words, fill full that which is empty. So taking a value, creating a value in your life that will then serve as the fulfillment for that void. And this is how values really come up, which I find fascinating. And this is also, these voids are deeper most motivations for why we do the things we do, for why we value the things we want to do, and why we want to create a career based around our values that will fill these voids. Now, what's very interesting about this is that these are mostly unconscious, subconscious, meaning they're not conscious thoughts. We don't necessarily know these voids without spending the time or going to therapy or really reflecting on why we value the things we value. And this was the question I started the week with, because I knew there was some underlying why, a why underneath my why, in other words, for why, it's a lot of whys, for why I value what I do. So for example, I have a high value on personal development. I love growing, I love spreading my awareness, evolving my potential, and really upping my game in career, goal setting, relationships, visualizing, all the above that you could possibly grow to develop the self-development, personal development. And so it led me on a long couple of days of thinking about this. And I had the opportunity to see a life coach. And so this is what happened. At the beginning of the week, I knew I wanted to learn about the why underneath my why, this deeper motivation, aka my voids for why or for what creates my values. That was Monday. On Wednesday, I had an appointment with a life coach, a coach here in town who I was seeking advice from, who I was seeing as a potential client, because if I want to be a coach, it only makes sense to be coached. Everyone needs a coach, and that is something I've fundamentally come up with, or I fundamentally believe in now, because it is so powerful. Even having this one session with this coach, and he brought up the same thing, interestingly enough. He kept asking me these questions, like, why are you working so hard? Why are you pursuing what you're pursuing? Why do you want to have this as a career? And he also said, I have a lot of knowledge. I have a lot of knowledge and I have a lot of words. But what he was interested in was what is underneath that knowledge. What you're saying, the ideas you have, the inspirations that are intellectually communicated for why I want to do the things I do. But why? And it's such a simple question, but so immense in possibility and importance. And so he further cemented that curiosity in me. And it was a synchronistic circumstance that I knew meant that I needed to really dive into this. And so on Friday, after thinking about this more and mulling over what I think my voice may be, and I didn't really know where I would go to really dig deep. And so on Friday, I had an opportunity, so I was going on Zoom, and I had this live webinar with the one and only Dr. John Demartini. Now, this is someone I've read a ton of books with and created this inquiry in the first place. And since it was live, I actually had the opportunity to ask John a personal question himself, which I thought was very, very cool. And what question did I ask him? Voids. The question I asked him was, is it sufficient enough to know your values without knowing your voids? Without knowing the deeper why for why I value the things I do? I know my voids. I know what I want to be doing in life. But why do I want to be doing those things? And what better person to ask, He answered that question. And he invited me to go back in my past. He invited me to do two things. He invited me to go back in my past and see all the people that I put on a pedestal, all the traits that I judged myself against, all the traits that I maximized in someone else and minimized myself to, all the traits that I infatuated with someone else and didn't believe that I had that myself. So that was one. The next thing he invited me to do was look at my most inspiring moments. the moments in my past and recently that I felt most aligned, most inspired, most enthusiastic, and knowing that what I was doing was the right thing to be doing in terms of where I want to be and what I value, etc. Then he said, from that space, ask yourself this question: why am I doing this? And when you answer that question, ask yourself again, well, why am I doing that? For example, I want to be a life coach. Why do I want to be a life coach? Because I love the idea of human potential and expanding human potential and human awareness. Why do I want and why do I love spreading human awareness and spreading human potential? Because I want to have that human potential and I want to have the human awareness that will make my life better. Well, why do I want to make my life better by improving my potential and my awareness? Well, because I hadn't had that in earlier years. Why didn't I have that in earlier years? And this is what's getting to that void. Because I didn't believe that I was confident. I didn't believe that I was enough when I was younger. And so I made personal development a priority because I set such high expectations for myself. And I wasn't a very confident kid when I was younger. I did a lot of things to impress people. And this is through high school too and elementary school. I did a lot of things that would minimize myself and maximize others. In other words, I compared myself a lot. There was a lot of people who I admired who I just got jealous of. I set extremely high expectations for myself in soccer, which was my pursuit and dream at the time. And I was such a perfectionist that anytime I didn't, or anytime I set an expectation which was almost near perfect and didn't match up to that, I would get down and I would take it as evidence I wasn't good enough. I compared myself a lot. I continuously tried to learn things that would add more onto me because I felt that I wasn't enough. And so by adding things, by adding knowledge, I would be enough and finally be able to gain other people's approval. And so as I'm going through these are exactly the things that form the voids for why I have a value in the things I do. And they come from my fundamental beliefs when I was younger that I was inadequate, that I wasn't good enough, that I had to work so hard just to prove other people that I was good enough, to prove to other people that I was good enough. I had to learn all these things in order to be someone who I wasn't. And it clicked for me. This is why I have such a high value on personal development. Because my void when I was younger, and to a degree even now, is that I'm not good enough in some fundamental way. And I need to learn these things. And I need to grow myself and grow my potential, grow my awareness so that other people will accept me. Now, is that healthy to have that mindset? No. But without that void, and here's the blessing, and here's the gratitude that I have. Oh, it's a beautiful rainbow. I wish I could show you guys that, but there we go. Right when I say blessing and gratitude, I turn the corner and there's a fucking rainbow. Yeah, and so, is that mindset healthy? No. But the blessing and gratitude in me having those voids and beliefs that I was inadequate when I was younger is that it created a value to pursue that was then important to me. And now that value is less about me, but more about what I can offer to the world. The void that I had, that I was inadequate and wasn't good enough, created the value of personal development and bettering myself to then fill that void and show to myself that I am good enough. So I'm fulfilled in that way. And now that value of mine that I've helped fill my own void is now a beautiful tool that I've learned, and a lesson that I've learned that I can now help fill voids of other people who have that same void. Oh man, this rainbow is just absolutely stunning. Oh my God. Okay, I gotta take you guys off and show you this rainbow. I'm gonna park real quick. That is stunning. Oh my. That's a big ass rainbow. Jesus. Pretty sure it's a double rainbow. Ladies and gents, we got a double rainbow. All right. Rainbow pit stop over. Hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did over camera. And so, I lost my train of thought getting distracted by that rainbow, but it was a worthy distraction. So I guess I'll try and wrap this up and speak more to you, the listener or viewer, than reflect myself and say, A, do you know what you value in life? And if you don't, that's okay. That's A-okay. Most people don't. A lot of people don't. But I would say from my experience, which is limited, and only one out of billions of people on the planet, that it feels really, really good to better understand who you are, what you love doing, and how you want to merge what you love doing with a career and a vision of your life that inspires you to get up every day and enjoy it and be enthusiastic about taking actions that will fulfill those voids that you have that have created your values. And so Dr. John Demartini on his website has a free values determination process, I think he calls it. Just look up values Dr. John Demartini, and he'll guide you through all the steps to determine evidentially what your life is showing you and what you are showing yourself you value. And then what's been extremely valuable for me, and again been very assuring and has built so much confidence this past week, is going a level deeper and looking at, why you have those values. What fundamental judgments or beliefs do you have about yourself? Some inadequacy, some version of I'm not good enough, that you have then created that value to full. And now what do you have? You have a journey. You are now on the hero's journey. You are on a mission, son. Sister. You are on a journey to fulfill your void. And you do that by living congruently to your values. And if you do that, and you align your life according to your highest values, I promise you, and don't even take my word for it, listen to Dr. John Demartini, or look at anyone who you admire who's living an inspired life and is influencing and impacting other people. I guarantee that they, even if they haven't understood it, have lived and are living congruently to their values. And it offers them the ability to serve authentically. Because what drove their values is their voids. And through gathering the information and the knowledge and the learning to fill those voids with value, they have now solved a challenge, problem, or lesson in their life that they're now able to give to other people. And people are attracted to that authentic giving. That's where your true leader, as John says, starts to wake up. When you live congruently to your values, you are truest to yourself. You are most authentic. You have the most energy and passion behind what you do because it's fulfilling. And when you turn that into service, it's powerful. People see it. People are attracted to it. It's a worthy way to live.